Hiya, quick book review to follow. Excuse my hair, it was all properly straightened this morning. We had family up, so I went to my mum and dad's for lunch with them. So it was all straightened, but I think it's hit that pants length where it's all starting to do its own thing. So it is absolutely desperate for the cut that it's going to get. It's getting a cut and colour next Friday, and I can't wait, quite frankly. I don't know whether to go the same length as last time or a bit shorter, so if anybody has any suggestions or thoughts on the thing, then please do let me know. Quick book review. Just gonna, where to put it? Oh, it's here. It's by the computer. Sorry. Got my head if it wasn't screwed on. Okay, so a quick book review of this book, Looking for Alaska, by John Green. It says, first friend, first girl, last words. A few people on YouTube have been talking about this one, so I decided to give it a go, even though technically it's a young adult teen book. But I absolutely loved it. But I'll come to that in a minute. I'll read the back. You can see the first bit's like an excerpt. So I'll read that first. It says, in the dark beside me, she smelled of sweat and sunshine and vanilla. And on that thin moon night I could see little more than her silhouette. But even in the dark I could see her eyes, fierce emeralds, and not just beautiful, but hot too. And there's a little heart on fire there. I think that's quite cute actually. And then the blurb. It says, when Miles Halter leaves for boarding school, he goes to seek what dying poet Rabelais called the great perhaps. Much awaits Miles at Culver Creek, including Alaska Young. Clever, funny, self-destructive, and dead sexy, Alaska pulls Miles into her labyrinth, catapulting him into an unimaginable future. Vivid, passionate, intensely moving and shocking, this is a stunning debut novel by young American author John Green. And Kirkus Reviews, whoever they are, said, girls will cry and boys will find love, lust, loss and longing. So, it's not that long. It's that thick. It is 262 pages. About 265 because there's a bit extra at the end, which I'll explain in a minute. I just really loved this book. Really, really loved it. I thought it was really clever. The whole concept of last words and everything. It even opens with it starts, the dedication is to his family, and it says, I've tried so hard to do right, and they were the last words of President Grover Cleveland. So if I show you the format's really unusual. It's not in chapters. I'll show you first that text is pretty average size, I guess. But it's not in chapters. It's like here it says 126 days before, and then you flick on to three. The next one will be 122 days before. I maybe should have explained first. Actually, it's divided into before and if I could find the page, it would help. And after. So the first chapter in the after is the day after, and so it goes on. So what it's talking about before and after is something in the book, I'll not give away what it is, but something happens to Alaska Young, and it's referring to the time before that happened and then the time after that happened. So that's why it's before and after. And it doesn't go every day, like it goes from 58 days before to 52 days and so on, and like 44 days to 8, and so it goes on. But it's really clever. I love near the beginning. There's a bit where they give Miles goes away to school and they give him a nickname. He becomes Pudge, and there's an ironic reason for that, but I'll let you find out. And his roommate is called Chip, but his nickname is the Colonel. And there's the two of them, and Lara and Alaska Young, and Takumi, and they're sort of a group, and they try to not get into trouble for things they should get into trouble for. But again, you have to read the book to find out whether they do get into trouble. So there's a bit near the beginning where Miles is talking to Alaska, where they're talking about famous last words, and she shares that she knows one, He says that he's talking about Simon Bolivar from the book Gabriel Garcia Marquez, The General in His Labyrinth. That's where she knows this one from. And it says, he, that Simon Bolivar, was shaken by the overwhelming revelation that the headlong race between his misfortunes and his dreams was at that moment reaching the finish line. The rest was darkness. Damn it, he sighed. How will I ever get out? Excuse me. How will I ever get out of this labyrinth? And he really likes that one. And he sort of starts a theme, a topic, as it were, about the labyrinth and what the labyrinth is. And their religious teacher touches on the idea of the labyrinth too. And it goes on. I'm not going to say too much because if I go into it, I'll end up giving it away in my excitement to share my favourite parts. But I love the idea of the labyrinth and what the labyrinth is. And I think that the labyrinth is just life. But if anybody has any other thoughts, please share them below. I'll show you my funky little bracelet. It was a present. But I really like it. It's very pretty. Just thought I'd share it because I had it on. And then this bit at the end is actually in relation to the labyrinth. The RE group is asked, says, how will you personally, ever get out of this labyrinth of suffering? Now that you've wrestled with 3 major religious traditions, apply your newly enlightened mind to Alaska's question. So that's the question that she asked Miles early on that I was just talking about. And then at the very end of the book, it actually ends. So you can see the font's different, and this is actually what Miles produces in answer to that question. And I just think it's beautiful. It made me stop and think and tear up. And it was really quite eloquent. I'm not going to read any of it out because it might give away part of what happens. But what I will say is that I found that very powerful in relation to something that happened to my friend's teenager a few months ago. And when you read it, you'll understand, you'll know what happened to him, and you'll know why that end part struck a nerve. But yeah, I just think it's a lovely idea about life. And I know it's technically a teenage book, but I think teenagers could read it for what it is. And if they're sort of quite mature teenagers, take more from it. But I think even at 30, I think even older, I think you can apply your own life experience to it and take what you want from it and apply what you know to it, I guess. So I just think it's a really lovely, really clever book, and I love this idea of the great perhaps. I would love to know what other people's thoughts on the labyrinth and the great perhaps are, so comment below and let me know. And I'll just show you it again. It's Looking for Alaska by John Green. Very different cover from the American one, I know. I think they're both a bit random, but anyway. Yeah, so really good book, well worth reading, and probably one that in time I would read again, and I don't say that about many books. So yeah, I'm going to stop now because if I keep going, I will end up giving things away, and I don't want to spoil it for you. So comment below, let me know what you thought of it, and I shall talk to you soon. Bye.